Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you enjoyed lunch. This is usually the time of day where you get this afternoon slump. So I just chugged down a can of Diet Coke. So good luck to me in this presentation. I know we mentioned that this was supposed to be a fireside chat with our friends from Public, Jake, who's the head of acquisition. Before I call Jake to share the stage with us on Reddit, I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about what we've been up to, and share too that we have these abilities and capabilities now that we've been developing to help you all and marketers really fuel user growth using the power of community. TLDR. This year's been amazing. We've had a remarkable year, and if we're looking back at March, it was a key milestone for our team and our company since we officially became a publicly traded company in the New York Stock Exchange. What that means is that we are fortunately able to have a lot more resources to really double and triple down on the mission of our company. So Reddit, we want to bring community, belonging, and empowerment to the world. And by being a publicly traded company, this is the beginning of more investments that we're going to make to really fulfill that mission for the customers and users that we serve, also for advertisers, so you can have more opportunities to meaningfully engage and build relationships with Redditors. So why is it remarkable beyond the IPO? First, Reddit's growing. We're growing 40% year over year, and every user on average is spending 20 minutes on Reddit. And that then results to 94 billion monthly screen views, which is pretty great in this economy when you think about other platforms that are seeing stagnation and plateauing effects when it comes to engagement. When we dive in deeper, this has resulted in allowing us to really claim the spot to be the #1 platform for community. The reason why we're growing really well in this economy is because our bet on making sure that we're able to add value to communities is paying off. And one thing we love to say here at Reddit is we have this core value of remembering the human. I've been in the advertising industry for so long, and I know we love being very data-driven, crunching all these numbers, but oftentimes we forget that at the very end, on the other side of that mobile screen is a human being thinking about different life moments and understanding how they can find belonging to contribute and add values to the things they're going through in their daily lives. So, whatever community you're looking for, it's available on Reddit. There's travel, buy it for life. If any of you are interested in babushka dogs, there's a subreddit for dogs that are wearing like scarves over their heads. There's even a subreddit for, beans in things that features beans in random things. And what's great about this community, again, find me another community that only talks about beans in things. This community cannot be found in other spaces, in other platforms. So the way to think about this is 40% of Reddit users aren't on Instagram. And actually, half of Redditors aren't on platforms like X, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Snap, etc. What does this mean for you as marketers? A lot of times, you're always looking for opportunities to reach incremental users and acquire incremental customers. So when you're thinking about diversification, this is a great opportunity. But the bigger question is, how do you meaningfully engage with these customers when they can't be found elsewhere? This brings us back to conversations. It's a very fundamental part of us being humans, and it's a very fundamental part of being a part of a community. What's great about Reddit is we really lean into conversations being our superpower. And it really comes in 3 tenets. The first is about convenience. When you think about conversations, these are happening across communities between groups of people, but brands are also not just welcome, but you're encouraged to participate. I'm so excited for Jake to share some examples of how they've done that as a brand, and hopefully it inspires others to test things out as well. The second one is context. The way that Reddit is designed as a platform contextualizes the types of content that you're going to see. So again, if you are a member of r/superb owls, you are going to expect to see content around, not the Super Bowl, but owls that are superb. And if you are a part of communities that talk about financial advice or even sports, it contextualizes your experience and the members within the same community that you're going to be interacting with. The third part is really about consensus. So discourse, like the conversations on Reddit are very nuanced. I always call it the world's largest focus group, which presents so much opportunity for marketers to gain insight and learn about your audience, but also great opportunity for audiences and users to learn about any topic, any interest, any passion, or any brand that they're curious about. This is heavily vetted by Redditors, and because of the nature of being able to upvote and downvote, it becomes a platform that they trust. It's a community that they trust to share very authentic opinions and recommendations about specific products and brands. Newsflash, we've been doing this for almost 2 decades. We have 18 years of data that's sitting here, which again presents an opportunity for any consumer to discover your brand or learn about the category or industry that you're operating in. But at the same time, what a great opportunity for brands to lean in and learn about what do customers want these days? What can I improve about my product? What are the pain points of my competitors that I can iterate on to provide better value and a better experience for the customers I want to serve? When it comes to mobile marketers in particular, it's same but different, right? 3 in 4 Redditors know that the conversations here are genuine. They know that people who are a part of the community aren't paid for, doesn't have hashtag ad or sponsored. And so they want to trust that more because we do share the same interests and passions. And it's opted in with the way that they join these subreddits. More than that, it makes the download process faster. If I trust the opinions and know that this is a credible group of people, I'm more likely to feel confident about my purchase or my action. Whether that's like a download to a subscription or choosing the right product that's going to address the pain points and challenges that I'm dealing with. So, what are we doing to also empower and equip brands and marketers like yourselves? We're making sure you have the ability to show up in the right context and when these conversations are happening or when these conversations or dialogues are sought after. I encourage all of you to actually, test it out on your Reddit app. Take it out, search for a topic, and see what kinds of conversations you get to explore and stumble upon. So you could be, Ally Bank that gets to show up when someone's asking a question around what's the best checking account that I have to open. Or you can be a daily fantasy app that shows up in r/fantasy football. Or finally, you could be, Turo that's also showing up when people are trying to figure out what's the best way to go about car rental while I'm planning for my vacation. All right, and what's the business impact when you do all of this? We partnered with our friends from Adjust recently, and the core 3 things that can happen is, first, the customers that we acquire for you, they spend more time on your app, they drive higher lifetime value, and they're 2x more likely to be retained customers. We may not be able to provide you the cheapest customers to acquire that then quickly churn after a period of time, but because of the high intent nature of the Reddit platform and the context we provide Redditors, they're a lot more confident in the decision that they make when they choose your app and when they choose to go with your product. If you don't believe me, here are our friends from Turo, adopting our products when it comes to more automations with our optimization and bidding capabilities, as well as the contextualized ad formats that we have. They were able to see a lot more efficient cost per installs and even improvements from the click to install rate. And if you don't believe Turo, this is the time when I want to call our friend from Public, Jake, who's the head of acquisition, to share the stage with us and share more about your experience as well, how you've tapped into Reddit. Hey, Jake.
Hey, guys. Good to see everyone. Thanks for having me on stage.
Of course. And, you know I've pretty much blab across what's going on the Reddit side, but I think it always helps to have marketers hear from other marketers and learn about your journey throughout all of this. But I want to kick things off with you sharing a little bit more about Public. Tell us more about the brand. What's the mission of Public? And what is your role there as the head of acquisition? What are you focused on?
Yeah, so how many people have heard of Public? Anyone? Cool. There's a QR code too, coming up too, so you can sign up afterwards. All right, so Public is a trading platform for stocks, bonds, options, crypto. We also just launched a high yield cash account that's currently at 5.1%. We are a platform to really make your investing experience as seamless as we can. So what sets Public apart from other brokerage is out there is one is transparency. So we have built a platform. We are the most transparent brokerage out there. And then two is a level of sophistication. So while you can be a beginner and you can buy stocks and have a great experience, we also have charts and advanced tools where you can really use to make the best investment strategies out there. My role at Public is to acquire the right people, right? So members are, all over the place. So how do we acquire the right person? And how do we build a growth strategy based on that?
I love that, Jake, and I can attest, I'm a Public customer myself, and so thinking about your high yield rates and things like that, I've definitely seen the benefit of that, as well as the additional transparency. So, and I love your role as well. I know that you have had experience across the board with different companies as well when it comes to growth marketing and acquisition.
Yep.
So within your role, tell us what you're typically focused on and what are the pretty much the most pertinent challenges that you have to think about as a head of acquisition.
So yeah, it's all about everyone wants to scale, right? So, but how do you scale but drive the right customer? And that's what we constantly talk about. That's what we're constantly trying to strategize. A CPI, a cost per install, is fantastic, but a cost per install isn't predictive. So when we think about marketing strategies, we understand the product very well. And based on our understanding, we can then kind of put together frameworks to build these acquisition strategies. The communities out there are really important, but also, overarching strategies too. A big thing also is the creative side. We have a design team, they're fantastic. We're constantly running new creative tests to understand how can we provide a clean experience and get people interested in what Public does. We can probably talk about this more too, but we also have a web to app experience. And when we think about that, it's really about, yes, we're adding an additional point in the funnel and someone clicks on an ad and goes to a landing page. But the point of that is to really use that landing page to provide context and really get someone interested. Brokerages and being able to switch your brokerage, not everyone wants to do that after seeing one ad. So how can we continue to get in front of the right people at the right time, but also give them an educational experience?
Jake, I love so many things that you've mentioned there, and there are a lot of pockets that we're going to dive into in this conversation. You talked about the different KPIs and metrics that you're always curious about and are monitoring. You also talked about audience discovery, as well as finding the right communities. Why don't we start there? I'm curious about your strategy on how you identify the right audiences, communities, and even as a result of that, the right platforms that you want to test and show up with.
Yep, so the audiences of who come to Public, we understand. Reddit has different subreddits out there that kind of pertain to our audience from a persona standpoint. And every audience is slightly different, right? Like super stonks is different than like personal like finance, right? There's two different audiences attached to that. And based on that, how do we build a creative strategy? So a lot of this is like becoming experts in who uses the public platform, and then really kind of understanding where these audiences are and the best way to target these people, and provide them a creative experience that speaks to what they're actually interested in.
Yeah, I love that, because nothing can be more classic as the marketing adage of showing the right creative to the right people at the right time.
Yep.
I even want to take a step back, because I think sometimes a lot of the marketers that we get to connect with have a lot of hesitations about, do I really want to be on Reddit? Is it most efficient? And things like that. For public, what was that process like? What were these insights that led you all to realize that, okay, this is a platform that we really want to lean into?
Yeah, so public members are big fans. From a Reddit standpoint, we sent out a survey 3 months back. 40% use it every single day. That's a big number. So there's a lot of overlap between the Reddit audiences and the public members. From an organic community management standpoint, we also have a subreddit, the public app subreddit. And this is a great place for our members to come. They post feedback. One of the great things about people who post is they have a lot of opinions. Reddit is filled with them, but when we're developing a product experience, this feedback is super important to us. They also post questions, and our customer success team can talk to them. And it's also where we promote, right? Like we have product updates that we want to share. So we use the subreddit to also post our product updates. Redditors are also very smart. It's really the last social network out there that they engage in long form content. And in the age of TikTok, that says a lot. And from a brokerage standpoint, when you think about how do you sell a brokerage, it's a financial decision that you need to commit to. So that long form content and that ability to like consume content really makes it a perfect place for public to be.
I love what you mentioned about the intelligence of Redditors. I think what I want to make sure is clear in that arena is that, you know, again, as marketers and as owners of brands, where you're getting at is y'all spend a lot of time developing your product. All these meetings and calls and stakeholders that you're investing in to make sure that the product comes out with an amazing experience for the customers that you want to serve. So Reddit really offers that opportunity to, similar to public, for you to flesh out everything that you have to offer to this customer and what value you have to add. So one of the things I wanted to tap into was around creative. And I know, Jake, you prepared the slide essentially just to showcase concretely something that public has put together. You've talked about creative, which is, you know, for example, not a lot of people are very familiar with options trading. And since that's one of a key feature, you did develop this freeform ad format. And this was derived from some of the organic conversations that you were also noticing, you and the public team were noticing from Reddit.
So the options launch was a really big launch for public. We launched 3 months back, or actually 4 months back. The screenshot that you're seeing to the right is us promoting the options, right? Like we posted in our organic subreddit channel, really explaining how you trade options at public. We were very proud of the product experience that we built, and the subreddits were, you know, starting to talk about it. And the picture on the opposite side is someone who is using the options within public to essentially trade options. And it goes to show you, like, if you engage in the community will post back. So it's very frequent where we'll be, you know, in different subreddits and we'll see screenshots, right, of someone posting a picture of their stocks that they bought or the option contracts, and they're using the public app. And our COO and our team is constantly commenting, and involved in, giving them the like strong emoji. But yeah, we loved to see it, and we're big believers in the community and how organic can also drive paid, right? So like there's advertising, but if there's nothing else out there about you, the ad is only going to go so far. So building a community and leveraging the communities out there has been a huge kind of strategy for us. And also it's been really helpful from a performance standpoint too.
Awesome. And I'd love for you to double down on that, like within an organization, especially within marketing organizations, sometimes like organic and acquisition teams operate in silos. Like my question for you is like, how does that operate from the perspective of public? How do those inner workings really come to life? And I really love that even to the level of your C-suite, they're actually meaningfully acknowledging Redditors and
they're huge in it.
Really engaging with it. So
yeah, so we have a customer success team too, and our customer success team is constantly monitoring different subreddits and also our own subreddit. So the community management piece is really integrated in the acquisition side. One, because we want to collect that feedback. We want to be experts in who the customer is. Being an expert in your customer will only allow you to be better at running like growth strategies. So yeah, we treat at Public, we really have kind of like all departments really working together. We are a team that's very obsessed with what we built. And yeah, so we work with the customer experience team. We're constantly on these different subreddits, and that's informing the design team on how to design from a creative standpoint. It all kind of works together. And yeah.
Awesome. I love hearing that. Like personally, I also grew up in the world of like media buying, and so anytime I hear that all of these teams are working together and just like maximizing the opportunities where customers are eagerly giving you an opportunity to build that touch point is always awesome.
Yes.
I want to take a pivot because one of the things that you mentioned earlier in our conversation is that, especially for a brand like yours, it's not like you show one ad and then expect the customer to immediately make that conversion or desired action. You're dabbling into this territory of attribution and measurement that's always a hot topic for app marketers. If we, I would be so rich if I count the number of times anyone mentions scan or,
Love it.
But
we talk about that a lot.
So let's get into that, Walk us through how you're thinking about measurement.
Yep.
I know there are a couple of metrics that you think about and prioritize when you think about your investment decisions. Walk us around like your philosophy and principle.
Yep. So measurement is extremely important to us at Public. We are very performance driven. We want to understand the impact our campaigns have. We are a web and app experience, so there's different touch points, right? There's app touch points and there's web touch points, and there's people who convert on a web experience and people who convert on an app experience, and there's a difference, right? And so we're constantly trying to understand, like, one, we want to be in front of as many people regardless of the experience. Like the mobile experience is great, but the desktop experience is also fantastic. And if we cut ourselves thin by just showing a mobile ad the entire time, we're not doing everything we can to showcase the great products that Public has. When we think about measurement, we have a web to app experience. So we are big in a landing page experience. And then from that landing page, you actually drive to an app. That landing page is crucial, like I provided before, because it gives additional context. And we're really big into really showcasing what Public can do. But it also collects things like UTM parameters that allow us to identify and really understand the impact of the campaigns. From a performance standpoint, we are a revenue-driven business, so revenue is, at the end of the day, the main goal of our acquisition campaigns. We look at paybacks, so what is the predicted payback based on cohorts that come in? There's multiple metrics that can go into payback periods. There's cost per funded account, there's GGPU, and there's also, on our platform, there's stocks, bonds, options. based on what you're trading, that can also predict what your payback period is going to be. So we have a data team that the acquisition team works with every single day, really buttoned up, understanding what our predictive paybacks are of the cohorts that we drive. Reddit is amazing because different subreddits are different types of people. So we can really understand what the predictive payback is by different subreddits.
Yeah, I actually really love two things that you mentioned with that answer. And the first one is how closely you're monitoring all of your investment as it relates to the thing that fuels your business, which is revenue and payback periods.
Yep.
And these are metrics that you track over time as well. I believe that, in this space, especially in mobile app, like we're all in the business of building sustainable businesses. And so this means like we always want our business metrics to survive, if not thrive over time.
Yes.
And so I really love that you're focused on that because, I manage a team now and my team knows this. I'm so strict about making sure that when we're working with any partners, everything that we're doing actually relates to the bottom line. Beyond like some of the lead-in metrics. Those are obviously great as leading indicators, but the closer we are to that ultimate source of truth that actually determines a business success, such as revenue or payback periods or profitability, like that's what we want to be close to. The second thing that you mentioned that I actually want to dive deeper into is how you talked about, the web and app experience. Oftentimes, some marketers think that they operate in silos. If I'm running a mobile app install campaign, it's impossible that it's influencing my web conversions and vice versa. Like, walk me through how you got to the point of how you really think about this omni-channel approach that caters to the customer wherever and whenever they want to use your product.
Yeah, so I mentioned this before, like no one is gonna convert on funding an account from a brokerage standpoint, seeing your ad one time. And if they're on Instagram, Reddit, et cetera, and your mobile ad comes up, that's great, they'll see it, but they need to constantly be hit, right? So frequency is definitely important for us, and it's like there's also some educational pieces around this too. Like to explain how a brokerage is different from another brokerage takes time. Like there's multiple kind of education points that we need to explain, and that's really kind of how we treat our web to app experience. Luckily at Public, we have a fantastic product team, so we are not, dead set on one experience. Like the web experience is great, the mobile experience is fantastic too. And when we think about it, like we're really thinking about everything as like a blended kind of like payback, and this goes into kind of like what the kind of KPIs are. Yes, we're looking at mobile paybacks and desktop paybacks, but we're also looking at the like blended paybacks too. And then from there, we can dive into like the devices. But yeah, we are very pro web, and we're also very pro app.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you get them to collaborate and work together rather than combat on like, hey, where should you show up and where you need to optimize your experience.
Yep.
Speaking for Reddit, we're also an app, and so that's something that's so top of mind for us. Whether you're using Reddit on desktop, on web, or on the app, we want to make sure that the experience suits what people are looking for as well. All right, well, we're coming up on time, and I would say my last question for you is for you to share some, drop some wisdom within this room. I know you've already had.
Mic drop.
What advice do you have for marketers that, are interested or hesitant, but like interested in trying out community-driven platforms like Reddit? Like, what advice do you have for them as they think about testing or even proving the insight or the value on like why they need to give it a shot or care about their community?
I think community advertising is very important because it's the contextual form of advertising. And that's really what it comes down to. You want to get in front of the right people who are showing interest at that time. It's the golden standard of like Google paid search, right? It's the ability to flag that intent. So from a community standpoint, you need to be an expert on what your product is and who is interested in your product. Once you know that, you're 50% there. The next 50% is also then trying to figure out what like value you're going to provide. the value you provide is going to, impact whether your ad campaign is good, right? It's in different subreddits, right? There are ads, and every ad kind of looks the same. Sometimes, like, people are just launching ads. Understand what value you want to contribute to that Reddit, and based on that, you will get that positive feedback. Also, take time to invest in the community too. Like, from an advertising standpoint, we did this really interesting test where Redditors have a preference with either dark mode or light mode. What do you guys think is their preference? Dark mode. Okay, cool. So we ran an ad in light mode versus a dark mode, and it was really interesting to see what that positive increase was. So being able to really understand the community and what they want is only going to help you run more efficient campaigns.
Awesome. That's so brilliant. Again, the marketers and brands who stay closest to their customers, know them, and can build meaningful relationships with them can truly win.
Yep.
And Jake, thank you so much for those insights. For folks in the room, we actually have a couple of folks from Reddit who are here. Raise your hand. Alpha and Gordy, in case you want to stay and chat more and learn more. And I know Jake's going to be here too. Yeah. But hopefully there's more opportunities where we get to showcase you all leveraging the power of community to fuel not just user growth, but also nurturing your business as well. And the last bit I'll leave you with this presentation is check out public.com, sign up. I'm a customer, but this is not financial advice. And have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you, everyone.